Hello everyone. Today's topic is DNA replication. In this session, we'll try to understand about the basic structure of DNA and how this replication is going on in the prokaryotic cell. Myself, Dr. A. Mathuri, Assistant Professor of Microbiology from Government Degree College for Women, Begumpet. Now let us start the session with the introduction. DNA is a molecule that encodes the genetic instructions used in the development and functioning of all living organisms and many viruses also. Okay, so the DNA full form is first deoxyribonucleic acid. Here deoxyribose is the nature of the sugar present here and it is a nucleic acid, and this is a molecule which is helpful in encoding the genetic instructions. Okay, so whatever functions has to be carried out in a cell, whatever proteins have to be synthesized in a cell, A to Z information of this will be present in the DNA. Okay, so this is applicable for all the living organisms, including most of the viruses. Now, within the cells, DNA is organized into long structures called chromosomes. In humans, they are present in the form of chromosomes. Not only in humans, other higher organisms also, they are present in the form of chromosomes. Now, during cell division, these chromosomes are duplicated in the process of DNA replication, providing each cell its own complete set of chromosomes. Now, we know very well that when the cell has to divide, okay, when an organism want to grow, there definitely has to be cell division, whether it is a bacteria or it is a human. Any organism, there must be cell division for the survival of the organism. Now, during the cell division, what happens is whatever the genetic material is there, whatever chromosomes are there, that must be duplicated. Duplicated means the two copies must be formed in the cell before cell divides. Now, DNA replication is a process of producing two identical copies from one origin. Actually, one set of copy, one set of DNA will be there, one set of genome will be there in the organism before uh, duplication or division of the cell. Then it has to make two identical copies, then it has to proceed for the cell division. This biological process occurs in all living organisms and is basis for biological inheritance. So, as I said, replication is compulsory for all the cells, for all the living organisms, and it is the basis for biological inheritance. Means nowadays, if we are able to see the similarities between parents and offsprings, it is due to presence of this genetic material or the division of this genetic material in a proper manner. In this diagram, we can see the replication of DNA. This is the original DNA or parent DNA. And here we can see two strands of DNA which are in anti-clockwise direction. This is the 5' end of one strand and this is the 3' end of the another strand. And this are the daughter DNA molecules which are getting replicated. And in this we can see this parent strand is a purple one. So this is the old strand and this is the new strand which is being synthesized. In this also, this one is the new strand, this one is the old strand. So coming to the general features of DNA replication. DNA replication begins with the unwinding of two antiparallel complementary strands resulting in the formation of two single strands. If you go back to the diagram, first step in uh, replication is unwinding. Unwinding means these two strands which are wound they must unwind, they must get separated in order to start the process of replication. And the second point is the unwinding produces the two replication forks. Here, these are the two replication forks where replication is being carried out, and then the replication proceeds in 5 prime to 3 prime direction, and it is semi discontinuous or semi conservative. Uh, Here always the replication proceeds in 5 prime to 3 prime direction. We have seen in the DNA molecule there are two strands. One is in 5 prime to 3 prime direction, and the other one is in 3 prime to 5 prime direction. Whatever be the direction of the strand on the DNA molecule, the replication has to proceed in the single direction, that is 5 prime to 3 prime direction, and it is semi conservative. What do you mean by semi conservative? Semi means half, and conservative means preserved from the original one. Okay, so when in the previous diagram we have seen that the DNA molecule which is being synthesized, or the daughter DNA molecule is having one parent strand, and the other one is new strand which is being synthesized. So half old and half new components are there, so we can call it as a semi conservative process. And this replication begins at the origin of replication, means on the DNA sequence there is a particular sequence where replication will begin. That is that site of replication site of DNA where replication is starting is known as origin of replication, or ORIC. And DNA is synthesized by the enzyme DNA polymerases. Now here also there is a requirement of enzymes, and here the enzymes are called as DNA polymerases. DNA stands for deoxyribose nucleic acid. Polymerase is the enzyme which polymerizes DNA, or which can synthesize DNA molecule, is called as DNA polymerases. Of the two strands, one strand is synthesized continuously in the direction of the movement of the replication fork, called leading strand, while the other is synthesized discontinuously away from the movement of replication fork. Now, you can see this in this diagram. Um, One is synthesized continuously in 5 prime to 3 prime direction, and the other one is in a discontinuous fashion in 3 prime to 5 prime direction. See, this is the continuous strand, or the leading strand, which is synthesized in 5 prime to 3 prime direction, and this is the lagging strand, which is synthesized in this is also synthesized in 5 prime to 3 prime direction, but is in a discontinuous fashion. Next is, so we understood that one is leading strand and the other one is lagging strand. Leading strand is synthesized in 5 prime to 3 prime direction, and lagging strand is synthesized in, this is also synthesized in 5 prime to 3 prime direction, but it is in a discontinuous fashion. DNA replication is a bidirectional from the origin of replication. So in both the directions the replication is going on. One is in this direction and the other one is in this direction. Okay, now here in this diagram, we can see that this is the RNA primer. Here RNA primer will be there attached um, by primase enzyme. Then the replication will be continued by DNA polymerase enzyme. Okay, and as this synthesis of this strand is in 5 prime to 3 prime direction, there is no problem for this strand, and it is a lead. It is called as leading strand. So because synthesis will be somewhat faster on this strand, and the opposite strand, which has to be synthesized in 3 prime to 5 prime direction, but the actual replication will be carried out in 5 prime to 3 prime direction only. So for this, on the other strand, the replication will be somewhat slower, and their Okazaki fragments will be formed. First, the strand will curl, and then synthesis will occur. Then it will stop again. Primer is added again. Some part of the DNA will be synthesized, forming discontinuous strands of this DNA molecule. These are called as Okazaki fragments. Here in this diagram, you can see this is the bacterial chromosome. Bacteria usually, it will be asked in the entrance also how many chromosomes are present in bacteria. It is the answer is one, because the chromosome is a single and it is a circular in nature. Now if there is as I said, the replication will start at the point of origin of replication in the entire sequence. If they here is that sequence called as origin of replication. The unwinding of the DNA molecule will start at this site because origin of replication or odyssey sequence is present here. Now after the unwinding, it will be somewhat like this. It will unwind and then replication will occur in bidirectional. Two replication forks we can see. This one is called as replication fork and this one is called as replication fork. So two replication forks we can see here. We can see that this is the old DNA and their new DNA molecule is being formed. So replication proceeds in both the directions. And coming to this diagram, here we can see that this actually it is called as replication bubble. And here you can see this is the DNA molecule, parent DNA, and these are the daughter strands, and these are the synthesis of daughter DNA. So this is the leading strand and this is the lagging strand. Okay, so for both the strands, the enzyme required is DNA polymerase 3 for the replication, and on both the strands, in the leading strand at the starting site, primer will be added here, but in on lagging strand, time to time primer is added because the strand synthesis is not continuous. Here you can see this is the leading strand, this is the lagging strand. Here this is the leading strand and this is the lagging strand. Whatever be the strand, the synthesis of DNA or DNA replication must be carried out in a same direction, that is 5 prime to 3 prime. So in order to fulfill this particular rule, there are two types of strand synthesis. One is leading strand and the other one is lagging strand. Now, as I said, the enzymes required for DNA synthesis or DNA replication are called as DNA polymerase. Polymer means poly means many, polymer means many units are joined together. DNA nucleotides are joined together, right? Polymerase means the enzyme which is helpful, which is making the polymer is called as polymerase. So this polymerase enzyme is making DNA. That is why it is called as DNA polymerase enzyme. So this enzyme, it carries out the synthesis of new strand on the template strand. So DNA polymerase is found in both prokaryotes and eukaryotes. As the replication has to be carried out in both prokaryotes and eukaryotes, two types of the polymerases are present in both prokaryotes and eukaryotes. So there are several types of DNA polymerases. Only few participate in the polymerization of the new strand, while the other take part in proofreading activities. Now we can see different types of DNA polymerases, of which only one will be taking part in actual replication process. Others will be helping in proofreading. What is this proofreading? Proofreading means checking the nucleotide sequence which is already added, whether it is correct or not. Okay, so that by this proofreading mechanism, many number of mutations are being reduced in the cell, so that the sequence can be copied exactly and passed on to the next generations. Some DNA polymerase catalyzes the synthesis of DNA strand complementary to the RNA. These DNA polymerases are termed as RNA dependent DNA polymerases. Here, some DNA polymerases are helping in synthesizing of DNA strand of opposite to the RNA strand. So these are called as RNA dependent DNA polymerase. And coming to the types of DNA polymerases, the first is DNA polymerase 1. It was the first enzyme to be isolated, which has 5' to 3' exonuclease activity. In ARI, DNA polymerase 3 is the principal replication enzyme. In eukaryotes, DNA polymerase delta is responsible for leading strand synthesis. As I told you, DNA polymerases are of many types, 3 to 5 types. Here, the first polymerase which was isolated it is DNA polymerase 1. So this DNA polymerase 1 has a 5 prime to 3 prime exonuclease activity. 5 prime to 3 prime exonuclease activity. So in this direction, what it is doing, nuclease means breaking of the nucleotides or breaking of DNA. Exo means from the ends, if it is cutting the bases or removing the nucleotide bases, then we have to call it as 5 prime to 3 prime exonuclease activity or removal of bases in from the terminal end in 5 prime to 3 prime direction. So in E. coli, DNA polymerase 3 is the principal replication enzyme. So DNA polymerase 1 is helping in proofreading. It will remove whether if any wrong base is added. But what is the major polymerase is DNA polymerase 3. And in eukaryotes, DNA polymerase delta is responsible for actual replication. Then the main enzymatic activity of DNA polymerases is in the 5 prime to 3 prime direction. So we have to remember one point here. Replication always occurs in one direction, that is 5 prime to 3 prime. Not only replication, transcription as well as translation will also take place in the same direction. So this direction we have to remember. It is very important. Every time the cell synthesizes new DNA molecule, in which direction it is always 5 prime to 3 prime direction. Now, however, DNA polymerases poses two additional activities of importance for both replication and repair. As we have seen, some are meant for repair and some are meant for replication. These additional activities include a 5 prime to 3 prime exonuclease function and 3 prime to 5 prime exonuclease function. So for repair mechanism, the polymerases has to remove the incorrect bases. Okay, so for this removal or repair of the uh, newly formed DNA molecule, these exonuclease activities are seen. These exonuclease activities are in both the directions. One is 5 prime to 3 prime exonuclease activity, and the other one is 3 prime to 5 prime exonuclease activity. So these are the additional activities which can be seen with the DNA polymerases in order to um, remove the wrong sequence which is being added onto the new DNA molecule or daughter DNA molecule. So the 5 prime to 3 prime exonuclease activity allows the removal of ribonucleotides of the RNA primer utilized to initiate DNA synthesis along with their simultaneous replacement with deoxyribonucleotides by the 5 prime to 3 prime polymerase activity. As I said before, the replication starts, a RNA primer has to be added to the DNA molecule. So first replication will start with the addition of the RNA primer. So if the sequence present on the RNA primer is wrong, then what happens? This 5 prime to 3 prime exonuclease enzyme will come and remove the wrong bases on the RNA primer, and it will add correct bases of DNA, deoxyribonucleotides in the 5 prime to 3 prime direction. Now, the 5 prime to 3 prime exonuclease activity is also utilized during the repair of damaged DNA. So, if there is any repair by mutations or any other factors, that must be repaired by using 5 prime to 3 prime exonuclease activity. And then the third one is, last one is the 3 prime to 5 prime exonuclease function is utilized during replication to allow DNA polymerase to remove mismatched bases and referred to as proofreading activity of DNA polymerase. So 3 prime to 5 prime exonuclease function is called as proofreading activity. So we have seen one is polymerase activity and the other one is exonuclease activity. They are 5 prime to 3 prime exonuclease activity and 3 prime to 5 prime exonuclease activity. We have seen that 5 prime to 3 prime exonuclease activity is involved with the primer, RNA primer which is added, and 3 prime to 5 prime exonuclease function is seen with the proofreading to remove the incorrect bases during replication. Coming to DNA polymerase in E. coli, there are at least 5 DNA polymerases associated with E. coli DNA replication. As I told you, different polymerases are there. They are DNA polymerase 1, DNA polymerase 2, DNA polymerase 3, and 4 and 5. Okay. So first major replicating enzyme is DNA polymerase 3, and the rest of the polymerases, they got different functions in this replication process. Let us see one by one. First one is DNA polymerase 1. It is the first DNA polymerase to be isolated and purified. Enzyme is encoded by poly A gene. The polymerase has 5' to 3' exonuclease activity. So what is happening here is this DNA polymerase, it was the first isolated polymerase, and it was encoded by the gene poly A. Okay, you have to remember this poly A gene is encoding for DNA polymerase 1. Now this function of this polymerase 1 is 5' to 3' exonuclease activity. So these 3 points are important with this DNA polymerase 1. Okay, we have to remember that this was the first isolated enzyme, and it has got 5' to 3' exonuclease activity, and it was produced by poly A gene. And coming to the second enzyme, that is DNA polymerase 2. Here the enzyme is encoded by Pol B gene, and it has no 5' to 3' exonuclease activity, but it has 3' to 5' exonuclease activity, that is proofreading activity. So we have to remember that when Pol 1 is showing 5' to 3' exonuclease activity, Pol 2 is showing 3' to 5' exonuclease activity, and this Pol 2 is encoded by Pol, Pol B gene. Pol gene, and the last one is DNA Pol 3. This is the principal replication enzyme encoded by the gene Pol C. It has 5' to 3' proofreading activities. It lacks 3' to 5' exonuclease activity. It has a very high processivity. As I said, this is the main replicating enzyme, and this is coded by the gene Pol C. It has a 5' to 3' proofreading activities. Apart from addition of new bases in 5' to 3' direction, it has also got proofreading activity in 5' to 3' direction, and it is lacking 3' to 5' exonuclease activity. It has a very high processivity, very high speed of addition or replication can be done by DNA polymerase 3. Next, DNA polymerase 4 and DNA polymerase 5 are involved in an unusual form of DNA repair. So whenever DNA repair has to be done, that repair process is carried out by both the polymerases, that is DNA polymerase 4 and DNA polymerase 5. So these are the 5 types of DNA polymerase enzymes in E. coli: polymerase 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Out of these, all these polymerases, DNA polymerase 3 is the main replicating enzyme, whereas DNA polymerase 1 helps in exonuclease activity in 5' to 3' direction, whereas Pol 2 shows 3' to 5' exonuclease activity, which is helpful in proofreading, and 4 and 5 are helping in repair mechanisms. DNA polymerase 3, as it is the major replicating enzyme. Let us see some more details about this enzyme. So this is a holoenzyme, and it is a complex involved in a prokaryotic DNA replication. So this is the major replicating enzyme, and DNA polymerase 3 synthesizes base pairs at a rate of around 1000 nucleotides per second. So what this sentence means? It means that the DNA polymerase 3 can add 1000 nucleotides per second. At this speed, DNA replication is carried out in prokaryotes using this polymerase 3 enzyme. And as replication progresses, the replisome moves forward. DNA polymerase III arrives at a RNA primer and begins replicating the DNA, adding on to 3' OH of the primer. As I said, DNA polymerase III is a major replicating enzyme. Coming to that fact, any DNA polymerase cannot add base, the first base. Okay, always a segment of RNA should be added. Then only after that it can continue, um, this the sequence can be continued by DNA polymerase C. So a primer is always required for replication. Next, and the RNA primer is added by the enzyme primase. DNA pol 3 will then synthesize a continuous or discontinuous strand of DNA. As we have seen in the previous slide, the DNA is having two strands, right? And out of these two parent strands, two daughter DNA molecules are synthesized, having one old strand and one new strand. So one out of these two parent strands, one will be leading strand and another one will be lagging strand. On leading strand, that is the daughter DNA will be synthesized in 5' to 3' direction in a continuous fashion, whereas on the other strand, that is mm, um, another strand, the daughter DNA synthesis will be carried out in the same 5' to 3' direction but in a discontinuous fashion, and that is called as lagging strand. And DNA polymerase III has a high processivity and therefore synthesize DNA very quickly. So it, as it is having, it can add 1000 nucleotides per second, it can add very fastly the DNA bases. The high processivity is due in part to the beta clamps that holds onto the DNA strands. Now, if you see the different parts of the polymerase, it is also having beta clamp, which is helpful in holding the DNA strands. Now, this is the structure of the DNA polymerase 3. In this pol 3, we can see the DNA helicase, and we can see this beta clamp and core, right? So it consists of three assemblies. All three core is there, beta sliding clamp is there, beta clamp is there, processivity factor, and clamp loading complex is there. So the whole enzyme contains two cores, one for each strand, the lagging and the leading. So this is the holo enzyme. It is having two core, this one and this one. Okay, this beta core is for holding the DNA strand. One is for leading strand and the other one is for lagging strand. The beta sliding clamp processivity factor is also present in duplicate one for each core to create a clamp that encloses DNA, allowing for high processivity. So beta clamps are helpful in holding the parent DNA molecule. Now, holoenzyme consists of two cores. Okay, the Pol-3 catalytic core has three tightly associated subunits: alpha subunit, epsilon, and beta subunit. This is the assembly of three subunits: alpha, epsilon, and theta. And the alpha subunit is responsible for DNA polymerase activity, while the epsilon subunit is the 3' to 5' proofreading exonuclease. So when this core is having three subunits: alpha subunit, epsilon subunit, and theta subunit, alpha subunit showing is responsible for actual polymerase activity, while epsilon subunit is required for 3' to 5' proofreading activity. You can see in detailed form here. This is the alpha subunit, this is the epsilon subunit, and this is the theta subunit. Alpha subunit is meant for actual replication or polymerization, and epsilon subunit is required for 3' to 5' exonuclease activity. Exonuclease means removal of wrong bases in 3' to 5' direction. These are the delta subunits. This is the beta clamp, which is helpful for holding the DNA molecule. Now, Replication requires many enzymes and protein factors. So thus the entire process of replication requires different enzymes. So first enzyme required here is DNA helicase. This DNA helicase unwinds the double-stranded DNA. As I said, first step required for DNA replication is unwinding of the DNA, unwinding or separating of the two strands of DNA. That is DNA helicase. And the next one is topoisomerase. This topoisomerase relieves the topological stress produced in the helical structures of DNA during unwinding. This topoisomerase, what it is doing is it will, when you unwind the DNA, when you open the DNA or unwind the DNA, it will create some stress on the later parts of the DNA. So that stress will be released by topoisomerase enzyme by cutting, by creating a cut on the DNA strands and relieving that pressure or stress on the DNA. It will unwind it and then it will join the DNA. Next is single-stranded DNA binding proteins. As the name suggests, these are the proteins which are helpful in binding to the DNA strand, that to single strand. Okay, so when we are unwinding the DNA, there has to be some mechanism to hold the two DNA strands separately. So that mechanism or that process is done by this single strand DNA binding proteins. So when these SSBs binds to the DNA, these two strands can't come and rewind. If these SSPs are not there, definitely the two strands will come together and they will wind upon each other. And next thing required is RNA primer. And later in the previous slides we have discussed, definitely there must be a RNA primer to start a DNA replication. So this primer is nothing but it is a RNA segment, short RNA segment, and it is synthesized by the enzyme primase. Primase is nothing but a specific RNA polymerase, and then there is a DNA ligase enzyme. DNA ligase, this enzyme catalyzes the joining of the two strands, or it forms, in other words, it forms a phosphodiester linkage, or you can say in this way that the two nucleotides are there, but there is a um, cut, or these two nucleotides are not linked together. So this ligase will form a phosphodiester linkage between two adjacent nucleotides. So that is the function of joining of the two DNA pieces is done by DNA ligase enzyme. Next is replication process. Coming to the main replication process, as we have seen from the starting, this replication is starting at a site called as ORIC in E. coli, and replication is being carried out in two directions, that is bidirectionally, and it is a circular with no free ends. We have seen the E. coli's chromosome, it is a circular, and replication of DNA in E. coli is also called as theta replication, because when the two strands separate, there will be a replication bubble, and we can see the structure of theta when this replication is being carried out. And replication will occur in three steps. One is initiation, second one is elongation, and the third one is termination. So coming to each step, let us discuss each step in detail. Coming to the first step, that is initiation. Here in initiation, as we know, it is starting at ORC sequence. It requires several protein factors. So these protein factors are one by one DNA A protein is required. So this DNA A protein recognizes ORC. Okay. So there is a sequence of ORC, but polymerase has to recognize where is the ORC. So first DNA protein will come and recognizes ORC sequence and opens duplex at specific sites in origin. So in this ORC sequence or origin sequence, it will unwind the DNA at the particular sites. Next, DNA B, that is helicase. This helicase will unwind the DNA. DNA protein, DNA A protein is recognizing the RNA sequence. DNA B protein, it is unwinding the DNA, and DNA C protein, it is required for DNA B binding at origin. Okay, DNAC is helping in binding of helicase protein at DNA or origin. Next, primase. This synthesizes DNA primer, RNA primer, and SSPs are single strand binding proteins. They bind to single stranded DNA. And then comes DNA gyrase or DNA topoisomerase 2. It relieves topological stress by DNA unbinding. It creates a cut in a single strand or a double strand of DNA, and it will unwind it, relieving the stress. And DAM methylase, it methylates 5' GATC sequences at a ORC. So this methylase, DAM methylase, it is helpful in methylating or addition of methyl groups at this sequence on adenine delve adenine. So during initiation, we have seen what are all required during initiation. Now let us see what is happening in a initiation sequence wise. Okay, so first ORC is it should be recognized by DNA A protein. So what is ORC? It is a 245 base pairs of DNA which is highly conserved. It consists of two short sequences. E. coli consists of ORC. This REC is the sequence of 245 base pairs long, and it is highly conserved, means it is not changed in all the organisms. Almost the sequence of 245 base pairs length is same in almost all the organisms. It consists of two short sequences. In this REC, there are 5 repeats of 9 base pair sequences and remains dispersed where DNA A protein binds, and the other is 3 repeats of 13 base pair sequence, which is continuous, and a region rich in 80 base pairs called DNA unwinding elements. So in this REC, there are different parts. There are 5 9-mers and 3 13-mers, and one is 80 rich sequence. This is called as DNA unwinding elements. The binding of DNA A protein to 9 base pairs. There are 5 9-mers are there. What is this 9-mers? It is a 9 base pair sequence. So this sequence is repeated 5 times in the DNA. And there is one more sequence that is 13 base pairs long. It is repeated 3 times in that ORC. And there is a 80 rich sequence. It is called as DNA unwinding elements. Okay. First DNA A, which has to recognize this RSA, first it will bind to 9-mers, 9 base pair sequence, and this binding of DNA A protein to this 9-mer requires ATP, which facilitates the initial strand separation of E. coli DNA duplicates. When DNA A protein binds to 9 base pair sequence, with the utilization of energy, the unwinding will start at that place, which leads to denaturation in AT-rich DOE. From this 9-mer sequence, the DNA will unwind in DOE region. Next comes DNA C protein. It binds to DNA B protein, which results in the opening of DNA B ring. The two DNA B ring is loaded on the denatured DOE, one on each strand. So DNA B is nothing but helicase protein will come, and it will unwind the DNA. One helicase on one strand will be there. So two DNA helicase proteins will come and sit on the DNA. DNA C is released and two DNA B remains bound to the two SS single stranded DNA. And then DNA C is released and helicase will be there. So DNA helicase is then loaded onto two single stranded, which then travels along the single strand in 5' to 3' direction, unwinding the DNA, creating two replication forks. So this helicase, it moves on the DNA molecule, and it will keep on unwinding the DNA in 5' to 3' direction. Then comes the single strand binding proteins. They will bind to the unwound DNA and stabilize the single strands. Unwinding produces stress, which is removed by DNA gyrase. And finally, OTC DNA is methylated by DAM methylase, which methylates the adenine at N6 position within the palindrome sequence, that is GATC. Then DAM methylase will come and methylate the sequence present in the RNA at the adenine on the adenine of a GATC sequence. So here we can see this is the RNA structure, and here you can see there are 5, 9, 9 mers and 3, 13 mers. So these are the 13 base pair sequence which is repeated thrice, and this is the 9 base pair sequence which are present in 5 copies. And this is the arrangement of 9 mers and 13 mers in RNA sequence of DNA. Here 13 mers and 9 mers. Now all the protein complexes will come and bind to the DNA, unwinding the DNA, marking the initiation of DNA synthesis or replication. And the elongation part, now the main enzyme required here is DNA polymerase 3. And this enzyme, it, it this is the main enzyme, and at this point a primer is needed so that DNA polymerase can begin to act. So as I told, first primer should be there. This primer is a short RNA segment. It is added by RNA primase enzyme. So when this primer is added, this marks the synthesis of leading strand and lagging strand. So leading strand is synthesized continuously in 5 prime to 3 prime direction along the direction of the movement of the replication fork, and the lagging strand is synthesized in a discontinuous manner by formation of loops, and resulting in formation of Okazaki fragments. Short Okazaki fragments will be formed because this is in opposite direction of the replication fork, and the lagging strand is looped, so the DNA synthesis proceeds steadily on both the strands at the same time. The synthesis of Okazaki fragments requires DNA B helicase and primase continuously, and that constitute a functional unit with the replication complex primosome. So, as on the lagging strand, this replication will break and start and break and start. So, continuously it requires complex of DNA helicase and primase. Of the two core subunits of DNA polymerase, one of the core subunit cycles from one Okazaki to the next on the looped lagging strand. This core subunit of polymerase will be moving on the lagging strand. DNA D helicase first unwinds the replication fork. After all the enzymes are into position, first a helicase will unwind and primase will add the RNA primer, and the clamp loading complex of DNA pol 3 loads a beta clamp onto the primer. So we have seen the structure of DNA polymerase 3, which has a beta sliding clamp. There is a clamp loading complex of proteins is there. So this clamp loading complex will load this beta sliding clamp onto the primer. The primer is then extended by the DNA polymerase 3, which completes the synthesis of the one Okazaki fragment. When synthesis of an Okazaki fragment has completed, replication stops and the core subunits of DNA polymerase 3 dissociate from their sliding clamp and from the completed Okazaki fragment and associate with a new clamp. This initiates synthesis of new Okazaki fragment. Once an Okazaki fragment has been completed, its RNA primer is removed and replaced with the DNA by DNA polymerase 1, and the remaining nick is sealed by DNA ligase. Here in the lagging strand, when Okazaki fragments or discontinuous fragments of DNA are being synthesized, when one fragment is completed, the complete assembly of DNA polymerase 3 will dissociate, and then it will reassociate onto the new Okazaki fragment. And after this one Okazaki fragment, the synthesis is completed. The primer, which was there at the starting point, is removed by DNA polymerase 1, and the gap between the two Okazaki fragments is sealed by DNA ligase. So DNA ligase catalyzes the formation of phosphodiester bond. So this is the diagram. Here we can see this is the leading strand and this is the lagging strand. Here the moment of replication fork or moment of leading strand is in the direction of 5 prime to 3 prime direction, but here this 5 prime to 3 prime direction of a daughter strand is in the opposite side of the replication fork. So this strand will be forming loops, and then Okazaki fragments will be synthesized. So in Okazaki fragments, this is the primer here. In this diagram, we can see this is the leading strand, this is the lagging strand. These are the DNA polymerase complex, which is carrying out the synthesis of both the strands. Sorry, this is the leading strand, this is the lagging strand, and as we are seeing this Okazaki fragments here, this is forming a loop in order to synthesize the daughter strand in 5' to 3' direction, and these are the single stranded binding proteins which are making or which are stopping the two strands from reuniting, and this is the helicase which is unwinding the DNA. So first helicase is moving, then comes here single strand binding proteins, then comes the DNA polymerase enzyme. The last step is termination. Here in termination step, replication of bacterial genome, we have seen it is proceeding bidirectionally. It terminates at a termination sequence or TER sequence. This TER sequence contains this termination region contains multiple copies of a 20 base pair sequence. So this wherever the DNA replication has to be stopped, it will contain multiple copies of a 20 base pair sequence, which is called as TER sequence. So TER sequence works as a binding site for protein, that is termination utilization substance, which stops the DNA B helicase, resulting in termination of DNA replication. So this termination sequence to this termination sequence, termination utilization substance or this protein will bind, and this TUS protein will stop the functioning of the NAB helicase, and this replication will come to an end. The completed chromosomes then partition into daughter cells during cell division. The completed when the replication two daughter DNA molecules are formed, they separate from each other, and then cell division will occur, and they will be going into newly formed daughter cells. So this picture gives the entire information about the DNA replication. Here, this is a leading strand, this is the lagging strand, and this is the DNA polymerase. This is a clamp, and these are the polymerase 3 dimer, and this is the helicase which is unbinding, and these are the single strand binding proteins, and this is the replication fork, and this is the parent DNA, and here, as this is the lagging strand, we can see primase is their RNA. It is adding RNA primer. Green colored part is the RNA primer, and red one is the DNA molecule. This is the polymerase one, which is removing the primer and adding DNA molecule in a 3' to 5' direction. And this is the ligase, which is sealing the neck or um, forming a phosphodiester bond between two adjacent nucleotides in this DNA molecule. So with this, we have completed the DNA replication process. Coming to the conclusion, we have seen this DNA replication is semi-conservative, and it is occurring in two directions, that is bidirectionally from the starting point, that is ORIC. And we have seen leading strand and the lagging strands are there, and the Okazaki fragments are formed on a lagging strand, which are later joined by DNA ligase. Pol3 is the main replicating enzyme, and Pol1 is the um, repair enzyme, and the termination sequence is required for termination of the replication process, which stops the DNA B helicase. And these are the references for this presentation. Thank you for patient listening.